emotionally towards our brands, and that's why we talk about our brand.
Hello. Hi.
Hey,
How are you, Shivangi?
very well. How are you?
Good, good. We're happy to have you today. Do you want to give us a quick overview about what you do?
Yes, absolutely. I work with Happy Platter Kitchens. We're a cloud kitchen company. I head marketing for them. We are about a year and a half old
Hmm.
as a company. Fairly new, but it almost feels like 10 years old, but because of the kind of work that happens in startups. And yeah, I've been in the region for almost 4 years.
Okay.
It's been exciting.
Okay. So, Happy Platter, where did the idea come from? You said it's a year and a half old. So, where did that come from?
So this is the founder's story, and I'm going to tell you that. Both the founders of the organization are ex-Baskin Robbins, and they used to head the operations and marketing in Baskin. During that time, I think they realized that they wanted to do something more. They started with a restaurant in Old Dubai called Once Upon a Bite, which was a dine-in location, and that started in 2018. And around that time is when the shift towards delivery started happening in the region. That's when they started experimenting with the idea that should we go for delivery-only brands, and started experimenting with some brands, created some brands like the Soul Bowl, Let's Asia, etc. And then I think the business plan kind of materialized into that this is the space to be rather than dine-in. So their plans changed from taking the dine-in further to a delivery-only kitchen space. Found funding in 2021, and 2021 September we launched.
Are the restaurants still open? I'm curious.
Oh, Once Upon a Bite is still there.
Okay.
Yes. It's a one of the brands now under the HPK entity. We don't have any other dine-in locations. The only dine-in location is Once Upon a Bite, but it has been very, very delivery focused even today. Because during COVID, everything changed in consumer behavior from how people would not want to step out, the convenience increased because there were so many options to choose from, the delivery times got better. So yeah, it's now more focused on delivery as well.
Okay, makes sense. Yeah, I order a lot myself, and I saw Once Upon a Bite. I always see it on Talabat. I always use Talabat, and it's one of the places that pop up.
Okay, that's great.
Okay.
Did you order from there?
I did. I like Indian food, so.
Okay.
So as a startup, how important is social media for your business and for your marketing?
So we're a cloud kitchen company, and we have almost all of our brands are delivery only. What that means is that there is lesser avenues for people to experience our brands, the look and feel of our brands. So it becomes all the more important for us to focus on socials, aggregators, the look and feel, the product images, the descriptions and everything, because that's where the first transaction, the first experience with a brand happens. However, given that we're a startup, we're only a year and a half old, we know our budgets are kind of tighter at this stage. We own somewhere around 50 brands, 50 plus brands, and to allocate budgets, social media kind of budgets, to each of the brands becomes a little hard sometimes. Why that is important is because we've seen in the last year and a half that social has changed from statics to videos a lot, which requires a lot more work to produce, which requires a lot more budgets from brands to put in, which is where we have to tighten our budgets, and we allocate that budget to social media, only to brands which are our high performer brands month on month. So that's how we go.
You don't try to group the communication, you try to have them.
No. So when we started Happy Platter Kitchen, one thing that we were very clear about is that we didn't want to just create clones of brands. We wanted to create brands that people connect with, that people have an emotional bond with, and that can't happen in a group level. That can't happen if we promote HPK. It has to happen for Once Upon a Bite. It has to happen for Calculate. It has to happen for Greenhouse on its own, that people see that value in that brand and then they want to associate with that brand rather than the organization.
Makes sense. Okay, and with the rise of AI and ChatGPT, how is that changing the way you do social? And how do you predict it's going to continue to change that way, like that?
This is my favorite question from the lot. And coming from a tech background, like I was telling you earlier, I was quite literally blown away with how ChatGPT became like such a great engine to produce it had such great cognitive power which no other AI engines had until now, like Google, Microsoft, Amazon.
Out of nowhere.
It seemed to go out of nowhere. Yeah, exactly. And all of these companies have been working on developing chatbots which are more cognitive for so many years, but no one could do it. Like Alexa doesn't do this, Siri doesn't do this, Cortana or Microsoft's other engines don't do it. But ChatGPT and Midjourney and other platforms, they just like came out and they did such a great job. I personally believe that technology serves one purpose, and that is to make human life more convenient, more efficient, and easy. For me to feel that I connect with the technology and this is useful for me, and for anybody to feel that way, that tech has to make my day more efficient, has to make my job easier, has to make me feel more enabled to do extra stuff in my day, things that I can do with more focus now because this is taken care of. So while I think the technology is amazing, I don't think we will ever do without copywriters or designers. I don't think this can replace copywriters, designers, agencies ever. Primarily for one reason, because AI doesn't have emotions. AI doesn't have a value system. And anything in branding, marketing realm is built on building that relationship with the consumer. At the end of the day, the consumer is a human being. For a human being, for me personally as well, I only connect with brands where I feel that my value system matches the brand's value system, or there is this honest vulnerability that the brand is showing, and I like that, and I like that emotional bit. So that is one thing that I think AI can never do. That is very hard to string together. Sure, it can scan the web, it can figure out, a string of words to put in, give me a researched article, but can it make me feel something? Probably not. And the other thing that I feel that AI can't do is that it's not very innovative, because it's going to scan the web. If I give it a prompt, it's going to scan the web, read something, scan images, and give me an image or give me some text which is based on its research. But is it going to be new? Is it going to be creative? Is it going to be innovative? I think all of that still rests in the human power. Yeah. Humans are the ones who are more creative. Humans are the ones who can make you feel things. Humans are the ones who can push the boundary and create something out of scratch. So it's great. It's a great help. I do think as a small business, especially when you don't have so much budget to allocate to a lot of things, you can use these tools to enable you. But again, the decision has to be yours. At the end of the day, it is not something, it's only something that will give you, let's say, more of research and more of, it cuts down your time on research and bringing together some data points. But other than that, like you should be the decision maker. You should be using it at your own discretion.
Okay, makes complete sense. Like the counter argument for that, when you tell ChatGPT, like, ask me questions to understand like the emotions or the brand, you don't think that's as good?
I don't think so. I think so I've tried a few things with ChatGPT, giving it prompts like I would give to a copywriter, like I would give to, let's say, a script writer for an advertisement or something. And I would say that, okay, this is the tone of voice that I want to go with. This is what I want to talk about. This is the campaign. This is the offer. This is the target audience. I think whatever it builds, one thing that I've seen, that my observation has been with ChatGPT, is that it's very verbose. When you give it a response without giving it a limit of words, it'll go on and give you like a 300, 400 word answer. And then you say that, okay, can you make it concise? Can you make it a 100 to 200 word thing? It does reduce the limit, but I don't think it's as creative to make it as impactful, given the tone of voice as well, given all the prompts that you would, that I think a human can do. I think copywriters, designers should be able to use this engine better, because they know how to better think about these emotions.
How to brief them as well.
How to brief them as well. And that's why I say that, okay, it's not either or. I would say that it's the designers, it's the engineers, and it is the copywriters who are going to use this platform a lot more. For example, Photoshop has, like, Adobe has launched its own version as well, where you give prompts and you can create an image. And that's a great tool. Like, I can create it well, but can I say that, is this image better than the other? That's a decision that at the end of the day, someone who's a designer or who's a branding person has to make.
Definitely. Okay. And now it seems like cloud kitchens are everywhere. Like, I don't know how many there are in just Dubai.
I don't know either.
But when you're looking at like competitors, when you're benchmarking, what are the top like things or metrics that you look at first?
Social media perspective, I think there is a lot of great work that is happening in this region. There are a lot of cloud kitchens, of course, and there are a lot of brands that exist on social media now. With the video, there's a lot of amazing creativity that is coming to social, and I love watching all of that. So aside from the regulars like engagement rate, followers, I like to look at community management. I think that's a very important piece. I like to look at what are their original ideas, what are the things that everyone is jumping on trends, sure, but what are the other things that they can come up with, and how are they differentiating themselves for, let's say, from their competitors. Given food and given that it's delivery only in a cloud kitchen format, it becomes very hard to differentiate yourself. A burger is a burger at the end of the day. And if there is no look and feel around the brand and you've not been able to build the brand currently, there is no reason a customer would think that your brand is better than a brand B or a brand C. So I love to look at how people are trying to build their narrative, because storytelling is that important bit which is coming through via video. So I would say it's mainly the kind of ideas that they post. How are they differentiating themselves as a personality of the brand from any other brands that exist? And community management, mainly because I think this is a piece that a lot of people ignore. It's easy to build an FAQ sheet and copy paste things from there and be like, okay, this is the question that came. It's in this realm. Let me just answer with this question. But it takes a lot more effort to build that community. And at the end of the day, how I look at social media, or how we look at social media and HPK as well, is we want to build those communities around our brands. We want people to feel emotionally towards our brands. And that's why we talk about our brands rather than talking about happy platter kitchens. And community management is something that I focus a lot on.
That's what AI cannot do, right?
That's what I can't do at all. Absolutely not.
Okay, you mentioned trends. So like, do you lean towards hopping on trends, like what's working right now? Or do you lean towards just starting from scratch, doing your own?
Honestly, I love trends. I think they're so much fun. I think people come up with such crazy ideas, and social media has given us this amazing platform where people are so creative, and something catches on, then everyone wants to do it. I love original ideas for sure. Like I said, I think that's where your creativity gets pushed. If someone is creating those trends, and that's how you tend to be creative. If you can come up with something which is original, which is helping people see something in a different light, or which is helping people feel an emotion which they haven't felt in a long time, it is great. And the way you do your storytelling is very different from someone else's. And I think that only comes via original ideas. But given that we are a business at this stage, which is like under 2 years old, I think jumping on trends becomes so much more important for us to see that growth in our business, because you can't do that if you're still working on building that community, right? It's not like you start posting in your communities there. You have to work towards it, and that happens via trends. You jump onto trends, you attract that community. However, I do think you should do trends for your growth. You are supposed to do trends because by metrics, by all the calculation, by all the math, they work. But you should not just do it just for the heck of it. You should tune them according to your brand's tone of voice, according to your community, according to your industry. And maybe certain brands don't fit. Certain trends don't fit. And that is absolutely okay. But if you can tune it, you can optimize it to your own community, to your own brand and your own tone of voice, I think it can have a great impact.
Definitely. And as a startup, where does most of your marketing budget go? Like, with a limited budget, you have to be careful where you spend money. So.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, you rightly said, we have with a startup, there's tighter budgets. There's a lot of focus on growth. There's investor money, ROIs, and from day one you have to focus on ROIs and stuff. And of course, while there is room for experimentation, budgets is where you have to be extra judicious. We don't come with deeper pockets, so that's why we have to a lot of time take decisions which are not something that we would have done otherwise. So a lot of our budgets currently go on aggregator platforms, in buying ads on aggregator platforms like Talabat, Deliveroo, etc., or Kareem. They have fantastic ad programs where you increase your visibility. Given the amount of clutter that exists on these platforms, it's very easy to be forgotten by any customer. So it's very important for us to keep showing up and keep showing that, hey, this is what we're offering, and offer a great deal to them. So a lot of our budgets currently go over there. With time, given that we have now existed for a year, over a year, we have slightly established that ground level where we know which are the brands which can yield a better ROI if we invest more on them. And when I say invest more on them, I don't mean like aggregator ads. I mean digital buying or traditional media or content creation, influencer collaborations. So out of the 50 brands, not all brands get that kind of budget. Only the top 5, top 10 brands, which are that high performing month on month, are the ones where we've started to allocate budgets to different channels now.
So you're focusing more at, like, you're targeting customers at the moment that they want to buy, like they want to.
Currently, yes. Slowly for the top, like for most of the brands, that is the strategy. But let's say for the top 5 or 10, we're now working towards building that brand's awareness and persona and going towards like equity building than just conversion. Because that is what is going to help us in the longer run. So 1 year, we've done that work of setting the groundwork, making sure our operations are okay, making sure we're available everywhere. Because one important thing in cloud kitchens is the network. It's very important to have that network of kitchens and the network of brands so that you can serve the network of consumers that you're wanting to. And now that we've done that, that's why we're like, okay, now we want to focus on brand awareness. We created these brands out of our data that we've collected over the last year. We know which brands work better, which are differentiated from anything else that exists in the market, and how much budget can we allocate because they've been running for a while. So awareness and conversion mix. Until now, the focus has been very largely on conversion. And slowly now we are starting to build awareness campaigns for specific the anchor brands or the top star brands that we call in our portfolio.
It's interesting how you're going like kind of backwards, like
in a way, yeah. It's a strange industry. It's a very strange industry because to build that kind of awareness, you need a lot more. And when you have like multiple brands, how do you select which brand do you want to allocate that money to? Especially when none of them have a history. So it becomes a little important to first test the grounds, test the waters, and see what works, what doesn't, have a certain idea. And differentiating in food without having to dine in becomes very difficult. So that's why it's a strange industry. Yeah, we go kind of backwards. We do conversion first and then we go towards awareness. But that conversion is very moment of truth. What we call aggregator ads is moment of truth investment. So moment of truth marketing is something that we've been doing for the longest time. And now we're focusing on socials and equity and conversions via socials.
Did you try like conversions on social? Like how did it go? Did you try?
Too soon to say. I think currently the focus is very heavily on awareness. We do see some impact here and there when we do influencer collaborations on conversions. It shows up well, but again, like currently, I don't think if I ask a lot of our customers, they would know what our brands stand for. I know what the brand's values are. I know what the brand's, let's say, the personality is, but a customer would not be able to say. We're still in the process of building that. And maybe next time I'll tell you more.
Okay. I'll schedule like the next one.
Yeah.
From now. Okay. I think this is the last question. So you said you have like around 50 brands or over 50 brands. What's the weirdest like customer interaction that you got on social media?
So not all 50 brands have socials. That is one. Only a few of our brands, like 10% of our brands do socials. I would say the weirdest that I have found that you don't see in any other industry, when you like, I don't know, when you see tech or when you see other industries posting on socials. In food, people post a lot because it requires a lot of like, not just corporate jobs, but it also requires people to cook food and everything, right? So we get a lot of messages on our socials to give them a job.
Okay.
So we're doing a post and the influencers are posting and they would tag us and I'm like, please give me a job. I'm like, that's great. Please send us a DM with your resume and your portfolio and we will get back to you. So that's kind of weird because I've never seen that happen on socials like that. It's just strange because it happens so frequently and it's not like one incident. It's like almost every post would have it. Or we would have these weird instances where people would say, there are these extreme reactions where people would be like, oh, hey, I had a great experience with you. I tried your food and it was amazing. Or let's say because something got delayed, or let's say there was some issue and people would go and post their issues on Instagram. So it's kind of, it's a mixed bag.
It becomes like customer service.
It always becomes like that for food because that's where people find a way to interact with the brand. Because I would assume like when you go to Talabat or Deliveroo and you go to their customer service, you would only talk to their bots and you not get to talk to anyone.
Eventually.
Eventually, maybe if you're lucky. Yeah. So if you're not, then what's the best way to interact with the brand? You would just go on social and be like, please give me a job. And like, hey, your food was great. Or they'll be like, I don't like your food so much. So it's a mixed bag. It's fun.
Yeah, that's where the community managers.
That's where the community management. That's why I said community management is super important because it's so easy to go in and just say that, hey, you could reach out to this person, and they will solve your problem. But how do you engage with that customer that, hey, I know you had a bad experience and I'm really sorry for that. Like, how can I improve this experience for you? And make it instead of a scripted response and just like engage with that customer. Like, what really happened? Can I understand from you what happened and what really went wrong so that I know what to improve on from the next time onwards? So yeah, it's interesting. Social media is super interesting.
Yeah, definitely. That's why I'm here. But thanks again for coming. It was a
Thank you for having
great
me.
episode. And
Thank you.
Bye-bye.